Captain Ethan stared out of the viewport of the starship Resolute, his eyes scanning the void of space. The stars stretched endlessly, glittering like distant fires. He adjusted his uniform, trying to focus, but his mind wandered to the mission ahead. A diplomatic gift was being sent from the alien empire of Thalira, and the most controversial figure of all, Princess Liara, known as the Barren Princess, was to be handed over to humanity. It was supposed to strengthen alliances after decades of tension, but Ethan could feel the weight of expectations pressing down on him. Liara had a reputation that preceded her. Across the galaxy, her people whispered that she could not bear children and had failed in her duties as the heir of the Thalira Empire. For most humans, she was a symbol of weakness, a pawn sent to Earth with little real value. But Ethan, trained to see past appearances, was curious. He had seen alien cultures, met diplomats, warriors, and scholars. But this was different. A princess dismissed as barren and trusted to humanity. It demanded caution and respect. The airlock hissed open and Liara stepped aboard. Her presence was striking, though understated. Her silver-blue hair shimmered under the ship's lights, her violet eyes scanning the interior with careful calculation. She moved with the grace of someone trained in etiquette and combat alike, though there was a tension in her shoulders, a quiet armor against a world that had rejected her. Ethan approached and bowed slightly, the gesture automatic. "Princess Liara, welcome aboard the Resolute," he said, trying to keep his tone respectful but neutral. She tilted her head, her expression unreadable. "I have traveled far," she replied, her voice smooth but distant. "I expect this ship to honor me with competence, Captain." There was a coldness in her words that could have unsettled a lesser officer, but Ethan remained calm. He had faced worse in the field, and he understood that caution often masked fear or distrust. The crew had been briefed on Liara's reputation, and some avoided her entirely, whispering behind her back. But Ethan saw nothing of the ridicule that often accompanied her name. He saw a person who had endured exile from respect, someone whose potential had been dismissed. That alone earned his attention. The journey began smoothly enough, but space was rarely calm for long. On the third day, alarms blared. "Pirate raiders detected heading straight for us," the navigator shouted. Ethan's hand went to the controls. "All hands, battle stations." Liara's eyes flicked to the control panel, calculating trajectories with a speed that made Ethan blink. "We need to angle the shields at 43 degrees starboard," she said calmly. The crew exchanged stunned glances. The princess, whom many had assumed weak, was directing defensive maneuvers as though she had flown these sectors for years. The raiders struck, their ships darting like predators. Energy beams cut through space, exploding harmlessly against the ship's shields. Ethan maneuvered the Resolute as Liara shouted precise instructions, coordinating with the crew. Her voice carried authority without arrogance, every word measured and effective. In the midst of battle, a small fighter broke through the defenses, heading straight for the command deck. Ethan intercepted it, but Liara leapt from her seat with agility that startled him. She moved with uncanny speed, using her alien physiology to disable the intruder with a short-range energy pulse. The raider's craft tumbled away in sparks, destroyed before it could hit the ship. Ethan felt a mixture of awe and respect. "You handle yourself well," he said, trying to sound casual but failing to hide his admiration. Liara's expression softened slightly, a flicker of acknowledgement. "I did what needed to be done. Survival is a duty, not a display." For the rest of the journey, a quiet bond began to form. In private moments, they would speak of strategy, culture, and the differences between humans and Thalira. Liara revealed glimpses of her life, of the pressure and scorn she endured as the Barren Princess. Ethan listened without judgment, understanding that her reputation had been cruelly exaggerated. One evening, as the ship glided past a glowing nebula, Ethan found her on the observation deck. The swirling colors reflected in her eyes, making them look almost like liquid starlight. "Do humans always doubt what they cannot understand?" she asked, her tone curious rather than accusatory. "Sometimes," Ethan admitted, "but I've learned that even the smallest acts of courage can prove more than reputations ever could." Liara regarded him silently for a moment. "Courage is often lonely," she whispered. "And sometimes it is the only thing that separates the strong from the weak." Ethan nodded. He could see it in her eyes, the unyielding spirit that had survived ridicule and isolation. He understood that the galaxy had judged her unfairly. He also realized that this mission would not just test humanity's diplomacy, but also challenge their preconceptions of strength, worth, and partnership. As they approached the edge of the human sector, communication signals from Earth confirmed their arrival time. But before that, there was one final challenge. A rogue Thalira fleet loyal to factions opposed to Liara's transfer had set an ambush. The Resolute would have to navigate carefully, avoiding capture or destruction. Ethan turned to Liara. "I need your guidance. You know their strategies better than anyone." She nodded, stepping forward with a confidence that had been building over the journey. "We will survive," she said simply. Together, the rogue fleet appeared on the scanners, their numbers intimidating. Ships twisted in formation, preparing to strike. Liara analyzed their patterns, pointing out weaknesses, anticipating their maneuvers. Ethan followed her instructions with precision, and the crew executed flawlessly under their combined command. The battle was tense, with moments where even a single mistake could spell disaster. Liara's insight saved them repeatedly, her calculations precise, her instincts sharp. Finally, the fleet, unable to outmaneuver the duo, retreated into deep space, leaving the Resolute unscathed. Exhausted but victorious, Ethan and Liara shared a rare moment of quiet. The crew, who had doubted her abilities, now regarded her with newfound respect. For the first time, she felt a sense of belonging, even among humans, as the planet Earth came into view, its blue oceans and green continents shimmering beneath the atmosphere. Liara allowed herself a small smile. She had survived the journey, proven her worth, and begun to form a connection with a species that had once dismissed her. Ethan looked at her, thinking how remarkable she was. Not because of titles or status, but because of courage, intellect, and the strength to endure what others could not. In that moment, he knew that humanity and Liara had formed a bond that would challenge assumptions, reshape alliances, and perhaps change the galaxy in ways no one could yet predict. The ship prepared to enter Earth's orbit, but neither Ethan nor Liara spoke. Words were unnecessary. Their partnership, forged in the trials of space, had already set the stage for what was to come. And somewhere deep within her, Liara felt the stirrings of a possibility she had never known: hope. For the Barren princess, this was not the end of her story. It was the beginning of a journey where courage, trust, and unity would define her, and perhaps show the galaxy that even the underestimated could rise to greatness. The Resolute descended slowly into Earth's orbit, sunlight glinting off the hull. Ethan watched the planet grow larger on the viewport. Below lay sprawling cities, oceans that seemed endless, and forests that stretched like green carpets. For Liara, this world was unfamiliar yet strangely alive. She had traveled among stars, fought battles, and endured isolation, but the sensation of an entire world beneath her feet stirred emotions she had never known. Ethan guided the ship into the human docking station. Ground crews moved with efficiency, securing the vessel as Liara stepped onto the platform. Humans stared, whispering among themselves. The so-called Barren princess was no longer just a name. They saw the woman who had survived pirates, rogue fleets, and the void of space, all with remarkable skill and calm. As they walked through the reception halls, diplomats and officials approached with polite nods. Some offered subtle smiles, impressed by Liara's poise and confidence. The whispers of doubt about her worth began to fade. Even those who had once considered her a mere gift could not ignore her presence. Ethan noticed it, a small flicker of satisfaction. Respect had to be earned, not given, and Liara had earned it on the journey alone. Despite appearances, Liara remained cautious. The halls were polished, sterile, and filled with curious eyes. She had learned early in life that appearances could deceive, and that trust needed careful consideration. Ethan, understanding her perspective, stayed close, offering explanations when necessary and shielding her from undue scrutiny. He had come to value more than her survival skills. He valued her intellect, her insight, and the quiet strength that radiated from her being. Days passed, and Liara adapted to life among humans. She observed their culture, asked questions, and offered insights that impressed even senior officials. Her knowledge of interstellar politics proved invaluable in ongoing negotiations. Slowly, humanity began to see that she was far more than her so-called barren status. She was a mind capable of strategy, a leader in her own right, and a bridge between two worlds. During these days, Ethan and Liara spent moments away from formalities, often walking in gardens or observing the oceans from observation decks. One evening, Liara hesitated before speaking. "Captain Ethan," she said softly, "I never believed a human could truly understand me. Your actions, they are different from the rest." Ethan smiled gently. "Understanding is not always immediate, Princess, but respect and trust grow over time. You've shown me courage and wisdom. That is enough for me to see your worth." Liara's violet eyes reflected the soft light of the setting sun. "Perhaps I am beginning to see that worth for myself," she admitted. For the first time, she allowed herself to feel the warmth of connection, not as a tool or pawn, but as a person recognized for her abilities and spirit. Weeks turned into months, and Liara grew accustomed to Earth. Her reputation as Barren had followed her, but subtle changes in her body soon defied the expectations of everyone, including herself. One morning after routine medical assessments, a doctor approached her privately. "Princess Liara," he said cautiously, "you may be able to conceive. This is highly unusual for someone of your history." Liara froze, disbelief flickering across her face. The label that had defined her entire life, the word Barren, felt suddenly fragile. She looked at Ethan, unsure of what to say. His expression remained calm, supportive. "Then perhaps this is another step in proving what others have refused to see," he said. The revelation spread quietly at first, among a few trusted individuals, and then more widely as she underwent further testing. Scientists marveled at her physiology, which suggested that the human environment and care had unlocked what had been thought impossible. Diplomats began to rethink their assumptions about alien biology. Humanity watched as the once dismissed princess showed potential that had been invisible to all who judged her by rumor alone. The pregnancy, though unexpected, progressed smoothly. Liara experienced emotions she had never encountered before: anticipation, uncertainty, and profound connection. Ethan remained by her side, offering guidance, protection, and encouragement. Their partnership deepened beyond strategy and survival. It became mutual care, understanding, and respect. When the day came for the birth, humans and aliens alike prepared for the event with reverence. Liara, despite her nervousness, displayed composure. Ethan stayed close, his hand supporting hers. The birthing chamber was quiet, a mixture of advanced technology and gentle human care ensuring safety. Finally, a cry pierced the room, a sound that echoed hope across species. Liara held her child, a being who carried traits from both human and Thalira genetics. The baby's skin shimmered slightly under the light, eyes a deep violet that mirrored Liara's and a softness that reflected Ethan's humanity. Scientists recorded every moment, but no observation could capture the intangible bond forming in that room. Liara looked at Ethan, her expression unreadable for a moment, then softened. "This child represents more than me. It represents unity, potential, and courage." Ethan nodded, feeling a swell of pride. "And it shows that humanity and Thalira can achieve what neither could alone. You've proven that to all of us, Princess." The baby's presence transformed perceptions. The label of barren princess vanished, replaced by awe, respect, and hope. The child became a symbol not of limitation but of possibility. Humans who had once questioned the worth of Liara now saw the value of courage, partnership, and trust. In the weeks following the birth, Liara began taking on advisory roles in interstellar diplomacy. Her insight, combined with Ethan's experience, created a new paradigm for human-alien relations. Together they navigated challenges, prevented conflicts, and strengthened bonds between species. The child's laughter became a familiar sound on Earth, a reminder that even in a galaxy filled with doubt and prejudice, the underestimated could rise and thrive. Liara often reflected on her journey, from the girl labeled Barren, to a survivor of space battles, to a mother and a leader. She had endured isolation, scorn, and disbelief, yet found strength in partnership and trust. Humanity had offered her more than safety. It had offered recognition, respect, and hope. Ethan watched her from across the garden one evening, the child nestled in her arms. He could see the transformation, not just in her, but in the galaxy's perception of her. Liara's strength was no longer hidden, and her worth was undeniable. He realized then that HFY was not only about human courage, but about how humans could inspire others. even those from distant worlds, to rise above doubt and expectation. The baby took its first step soon after, unsteady but determined. Liara and Ethan supported the child, laughing as the small being stumbled, then found balance. Observers from both species watched in admiration. The child symbolized the potential of cooperation, the merging of strengths, and the hope that even in uncertain worlds, life could thrive when courage and understanding prevailed. Liara turned to Ethan. "I once believed I was defined by what I could not do," she said softly. "But I see now that my strength was never in limitation, but in endurance, in survival, and in the courage to trust." Ethan smiled, "And in showing the galaxy that humanity can elevate those around us. You've shown the universe that being underestimated is never the same as being weak." The future stretched before them, a galaxy of possibilities, where alliances were stronger, prejudices challenged, and hope reborn. The Barren princess was no longer barren, but full of life, courage, and promise. She had borne an heir, but more importantly, she had borne the truth that humans could inspire greatness, even in worlds far beyond their own. And so, the once dismissed princess, now mother, diplomat, and warrior, stood with humanity as an equal, a symbol of potential realized. The child's laughter echoed across the halls, the first of many to come, a reminder that courage, trust, and partnership could rewrite the stories of worlds, and that even in the darkest judgments, the light of possibility could shine brightest. The galaxy had watched the journey of Liara and Ethan, and it had learned a lesson. Never underestimate the underestimated, for when humans and alien spirits worked together, when trust overcame doubt, and when courage met opportunity, the universe itself seemed to bend toward hope. Liara held her child tightly, looking out at the stars, and whispered, "This is only the beginning." Ethan stood beside her, feeling the weight of what they had accomplished together, knowing that the child before them was more than a symbol. This was proof that life, courage, and unity could triumph, even in the vast unknown of space. And in that moment, the galaxy felt just a little smaller, a little warmer, and full of infinite possibilities.